up and the show should be out of sight.
This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Mousecast podcast. Okay, that's as much as you're going to get from me tonight. It is Halloween night here on Mousecast, and it's just the boys tonight. Hawk, how are you doing? Matt, how are you doing?
Doing
Matt?
pretty good tonight, Chuck.
Yeah.
It's doing pretty good. Come on.
Yeah,
This is the Halloween show.
that's exactly.
You guys
He's
are
having a
like,
frightfully good evening. That's right.
Well, whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah,
So-
Megan is she's taking one for the team tonight, and she's roughing it in the, I believe it's in Cancun, if I'm not mistaken. She's out in the tropics, enjoying enjoying the tropical weather. So
a much more happy and social environment.
Yes.
this evening. Not that we're not happy and social, but she is with family and in relaxation mode, and we
absolutely.
wish her
So we do wish her all the best. We know, obviously, if you had a choice between hanging out on a beautiful tropical beach or hanging out with us three boys, yeah, we know which choice she's going to make here. So
Yeah,
I can't blame her. Can't blame her. So we are talking Halloween, though. So we are in the middle of August, and already Halloween is in full swing at both Walt Disney World and soon to be in full swing at Universal. So we're going to talk about several different Halloween-related activities related both to Disney and also to Universal, from Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party to, of course, Halloween Horror Nights over at Universal, and also even Disney Cruise Lines, Halloween cruises that are available as well. So we got a lot to kind of get to tonight.
And we do, and I mean, it's kind of nice too, because we all have our own areas of expertise with it. Because, Matt has had the opportunity to attend some Halloween, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween parties. I have had the opportunity to do that. I've also become addicted to Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios. About to enjoy our actually 31, 32, 33, 34. This will be our fifth one. So we're super excited. Sad we missed out on it for as many years as we did, but super excited for the opportunity this year to go enjoy it. And then Chuck, you're the cruise connoisseur, so
Right. So we've
like that. And then also, what a lot of people don't realize, I mean, obviously in your own communities, there's haunted houses or a variety of places. A lot of the local theme parks do Halloween themed.
For instance, you also have just down the road in Tampa, and also up here in Virginia in Williamsburg, Busch Gardens does Hallow Scream as well, and it's
and you also have that in SeaWorld.
kind of a version.
In Orlando. Well, SeaWorld in Orlando has Hallow Scream as
Hallow
well.
Scream as well, yeah.
But there's also Screamageddon, and there's other places. Like back at home, we had a local park in New England and New Hampshire called Canopy Lake. They do a big Halloween event every year. So it is a fun time of year, and the amount of money that gets spent on celebrating Halloween is actually insane.
Oh yeah.
It almost rivals Christmas. And
In fact, I think in some areas it actually has exceeded Christmas.
in
And-
decoration expenditures, it's started to exceed Christmas in the last couple of years. So it is pretty impressive what Halloween does. And, those watching tonight, please post up in the chat. What is your Halloween tradition? Like, what do you do, or what do you look forward to being able to do during spooky season? If you haven't attended a Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party, or you haven't attended Horror Nights, or you haven't done that Halloween cruise that we'll be talking about, what are the things on your bucket list that you want to experience, or what are your local traditions? Because we are here serious about it.
Also, while you're listening, if you've got these things planned, you're heading down for your very first Halloween Horror Nights or Mickey's Not So Scary or going on Halloween Cruise. If you've got questions, ask them. That's another reason that we wanted to do this show tonight and share, as Hawk said, share some of your own thoughts and what are the things you look forward to most about Halloween. So, Hawk, why don't we kind of start it off, I guess maybe with Halloween Horror Nights here, kind of hit the big one, because in many respects, I think that's probably the most, there you go, as you see the mug. Halloween Horror Nights, I think, is when you look at the popularity of HHN and how quickly it sells out, it goes very, very quickly. So what do you think?
Well, so the uniqueness of HHN is it really doesn't sell out, but aspects of it do. A little different than Mickey's Not So Scary. You can buy single night tickets to HHN, but you can also buy frequent fear passes, which are the equivalent of an annual pass for Horror Nights. And you can get different level of those as well, because Horror Nights runs weekly from Wednesday until Sunday evening. They do not have it on Mondays and Tuesdays. They've tried it in the past on various holiday weekends to have a Monday night one and left it as an elective for people to come in and perform if they wanted to. Tends to run really light on scare actors, and I don't think they'll be doing that anymore. Not sure, though. You never know. Universal makes decisions on the fly quite a bit, as most theme parks do. But getting into the park, it runs for quite a while. It doesn't run quite as long as Mickey's Not So Scary will, but there'll be more opportunities to go because it runs 5 nights a week. So it is a little different than Mickey's Not So Scary in that realm. This year, they have the preview night, which is a private, separate ticketed event and a little more expensive. They offer some food offerings. You get kind of a preview evening of everything. And last year it was amazing. Attendance was really light and everybody raved about it, which means I think this year could be a bit of a nightmare for them. No pun intended. I think they're going to sell out a lot more tickets. Tickets were a little over $300. I think they were around $350 to go for the premiere night, the first night. And you get some special benefits of going, of course, but we personally don't think it's worth it when we also invested in the frequent fear passes to be able to go when we want to. And we can go any nights but Saturday. And that ticket was around the $300 mark for the whole season. So when you think of Mickey's Not So Scary and the cost of those tickets for one night, we might get 20 to 22 nights out of these tickets with about the time frames that we go 2 to 3 times a week, pretty much. We might get 20, 22 nights out of it. Well worth it when you break down that cost to a per visit expense to be able to see world-class haunted houses and entertainment.
Now, Hawk, let's talk about that, because you were kind of touching on the I guess the VIP pass or the their version of Unlimited Express Pass for Horror Nights, because those lines can get long.
Well, so we don't have the Express Pass.
Right.
We just have the pass to get in. You can
Correct.
get Express Pass for the houses as well. You can buy it independently the night of the event. They had very limited passes this year, very limited. I believe they sold out in 17 minutes. That were the Frequent Fear Pass plus Express, which gives you unlimited Express. Then I believe they had another version this year that was only one time going through each house Express. That was a little different. I believe those also sold out. But it's crazy the amount of people that wind up at these events. I mean, every night there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people there. It is insane. This year's lineup, and this is the difference between Mickey's Not So Scary or the cruises that you talk about. There's a different lineup every year for HHN. It's a different kind of experience. Some are weaker than others. A lot of people felt last year was underwhelming due to the fact that Epic had so many staff members pulled off trying to finish that park, and that they felt as though things got done a little on the, kind of, well, we'll do good enough, but we're not going over and above this year. We're just going to try to make the event go off without a hitch. But next year we'll pour a little more into it. And it honestly feels like they did. So there's 10 houses. The houses this year, Terrifier is one based on the popular and gruesome horror film series featuring Art the Clown. That is supposedly supposed to be, rumor has it, it's going to be the goriest house that's ever been done. And they're going to have a wet and a dry path through the house, that the special effects will be so much water that they're saying bring a poncho on the wet path. Whereas
let's hope it's just water.
It will be just water, but it may not feel like just water as you experience it. Like it's obviously going to be themed in other directions, but supposed to be amazing. Now, a couple years ago, they did the Bug House, which was also advertised as the scariest, most realistic thing ever. And when we went through it, we found it entertaining and comical. We didn't find it real scary. So whether things live up to the hype or not are always a question when it comes to Horror Nights, because they really do upsell stuff. But a lot of people are super excited about Terrifier being a house. And then
also they've got Fallout as well, which that's a very, very popular game series, and Universal, of course, is taking advantage of that and creating an entire Fallout experience as well.
Yep, and that is another one that's going to be interesting to see. I think the sets have opportunity to be really fantastic in the Fallout house, depending on things. Glad to have
Tom is here, and we know Tom. If Tom is a massive Halloween Horror Night fan, so Tom is Hawk is talking about HHN.
Tom
share some of your favorite bits of HHN.
Tom and I are just starting to bond more and more on this show.
That's right.
He was really poking fun at me at the beginning, but it seems like Tom and I need to hang out and go to HHN.
Start romancing on Mousecast.
Yeah, a little bit.
There could be a little. That's actually Tom behind the curtain behind me. He's having a tough time.
That's the Mousecast Horror Night, is the fact that Hawk developing a bromance here. So, Tom, we love you, buddy. We appreciate you here.
That's Tom behind me saying hi. But no, the other houses that are gaining a lot of traction this year, that a lot of people, the horrors of the Wyatt Six are supposed to be, that's the WWE house. And what's really cool that Universal does, there's a lot of people that could care less about WWE and don't think it should be in Horror Nights and don't think it should be anything Halloween or anything else. But you attract a different level of fan solely based on that house and that market. And one thing Universal is very good at is bringing in different markets into Horror Nights. A couple of years ago, they did the Weekend House, and everybody thought, like, an R&B singer, really? You're going to do like a pop R&B singer and it's supposed to be a scary house? That was one of the most fun houses I've gone through. And it was well done. And the Weekend has a pretty sick sense of about him. Like, it's his idea for his videos and things are a little on the dark side. And it was very interesting to experience that. But again, it attracted a whole new level of fan. So I see Matt lighten up a little. What are your thoughts on the WWE house?
So that house, if I win, that's where I would just beeline to, because I enjoy wrestling and stuff like that, and knowing like the background of the Wyatt Six and Bray Wyatt, who we lost way too soon. As a side note, that just intrigues me. Just how dark can they go, but still kind of make it like it's not like gore. It's more like a mental darkness kind of thing. So it's a whole different type of not so much scary, but just like that dark type of element. So
this is done, largely, in fact, as a tribute to him, because he always wanted this and he talked about it for a long time. And, I think that Universal is putting it into action is pretty damn cool, to be honest. For the fan base of the WWE, especially, it's something that they can really enjoy and be able to kind of have a connection to someone who, as you said, was lost way too soon and loved horror, like it was a huge horror fan. So this is pretty cool. Jason Universe is one of the other houses. Obviously, whenever they have a Friday the 13th or, any kind of house like that, you're going into these ridiculous mindsets. But this new idea with Jason's Universe, we had Exorcist last year, but it was based on the follow-up movie. There were still elements of the first movie. There were still elements that they tie in. So it's interesting to see how they theme the sequels. And obviously there's been so many films around the Friday the 13th series. It's going to be interesting to see how this house turns out with Jason's Universe, but super excited for it because the last Friday the 13th house they did, I loved. I thought it was a lot of fun. So I really enjoyed it. They have Five Nights at Freddy's based on the popular video game and film as well. That one I'm a little confused on as to how good it possibly is going to be. Every year there tends to be a house that we consider to be like the fun house, right? Like it winds up being more fun than it should be. I wonder if that will be Five Nights at Freddy's this year. I'm excited to see the theming for that. They have an original house this year, which is El Artista and the Spanish Haunting. A lot of fans are super stoked about this one too. It's a 19th century Spanish artist, isolated manor where the art supposedly comes alive and possesses him. So I'm anxious to see how that house is done because there's a ton of potential there. And then they have a couple of they have Galkin, the Monsters of the North. It says in a remote northern village, a wicked being rises from the dead with a horde of monsters and demons from the fjords. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. They have Grave of Flesh, enter your own funeral and descend into the underworld where flesh eaters hunt you for eternity. Sounds fun. Dolls, let's play dead, become doll-sized and be hunted down by burnt and melded toys in a twisted dollhouse. And this is definitely not Mickey's Not So Scary.
Yeah, it is not. And that's actually where I was going to kind of go to is, in addition, by the way, to the houses, they also have scare zones. So it's...
Well, let me finish the houses.
I was going to say, go through the houses. And then we're going to talk about the fact of Halloween Horror Nights probably is not for kids, although there are some kids that really enjoy it.
Okay, so the last house that they have this year is Hatchet and Chains, which is Demon Bounty Hunters, an original house where you'll encounter lava demons and be protected by hatchet and chains with their mystical weapons. So, there's a huge variety. So, for the WWE fans, they're going to have a place to go. For the gore fans, they're going to be excited for Terrifier. This is what Universal does very well. They market to a variety of bases, even for Halloween, to be able to draw people in and get new visitors. Sometimes that it happens. That's one of the things we love about having the frequent fear pass, Tom, that we can kind of come and go as we please and go in. Scare zones this year. We have been going to the park the last couple weeks, and the scare zones are up. They're decorated, and they get a little more decorated every week. And it was funny because they cover everything with tarps. And there were kids when we were there last weekend lifting the tarps and peeking up to try to see what was under the tarps. And, we don't go around and do that, but we got some pictures and took care of some stuff. And I'm really excited for the scare zones this year. It really feels as though they've really kind of stepped it up a little. So the mutation scare zone, which will be down on the like where the Revenge of the Mummy is, and down on that side street, that tends to be the most fun, upbeat scare zone, but it's also usually one of the best. And this year it's toxic 20s, mutated mobsters from the 20s chase you down in a neighborhood affected by a toxic waste spill. I can't wait for the music. A couple years, they had hippies and 60s music there in the last couple years. They had the Major Sweets crew with candy and all kinds of like disgusting candy, but it was amazingly fun. But the music this year with the 20s, oh man, this could be an awesome scare zone. I'm really excited for this one. They have a masquerade scare zone, Dance with Death. Attend an ornate masquerade ball overrun by vampires. That one sounds really good. The Origins of Horror. Encounter monstrous crows and gargoyles in a decaying conservatory where artists carve tributes to Halloween Horror Nights 34. That's going to be interesting too. But my favorite that I can't wait for is the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane. This scare zone is going to basically run behind Central Park out to the Animal Encounter show that goes on, the animal show out there. And this scare zone looks amazing. The crazy cat lady has a house. They built a whole house at the end. There's a little cemetery and yard. The detail is incredible. The scare zone looks amazing. Can't wait for that one. And then they have 2 shows this year for Horror Nights, which they have only had one show recently, and that has been the Nightmare Fuel show that's been there now 4 or 5 years. This will be its 5th year, I believe. And amazing show. They started to get a little stale with it. The last couple of years, it's been the same show kind of reincarnated with a little twist to the story, but not enough to really change anything. This year, supposedly, they're doing the Circus of Decay. I hope the show itself has some drastic changes to it. I'm not sure it will or not, but if you've never seen this show, you have to see it. The talent of these performers is incredible. They do a great job. It's not for the young. It is, as my daughter said, it's like strippers in a horror movie. It's not quite that bad, but it is definitely more aligned with adult entertainment for sure. The dancing, the pyro, the work. These performers are amazingly talented.
They are, and it's amazing the level of attention to detail that they put in there. It is important, and Hawk, correct me if I'm wrong, for folks to understand this. You will not see any sort of Halloween Horror Nights over at Epic. This is only over in Orlando and Universal Studios.
You'll see Dark Universe.
I was about to say there's Dark Universe there already, but yeah. One other that I saw and that I thought would be really, really cool is this Hauntophonic Ghoulish Journey. It really looks like essentially it's a Halloween version of World of Color.
So, well, they have the cinematic show at night, Sensational, that they run at night over the lagoon normally. And that's the drone and fireworks show with the water show, highlighting movies of Universal's past. And, E.T., Jaws, Back to the Future, all the classics are kind of highlighted with some of the newer films as well. This show is just during HHN, and we have no idea what it's going to look like. We don't know if there'll be drones involved or fireworks or anything else, but it is the first time that in a few years now that they're using the lagoon again for a night show for HHN. So we are super excited for that opportunity too. And again, this year they will have the Death Eaters out in Diagon Alley, which for Harry Potter fans is super incredible, very neat to enjoy. We really can't wait for it. Like, I'm anxious to, we're planning on going its first public night, which will be the 29th of August, and it runs through November 2nd this year, I believe. And they don't recommend it for children under 13, but if your child is a Nightmare fan or horror movie fan and younger, we have seen plenty of kids in there at younger ages. It's not recommended for anyone under the age of 13, but use your adult discretion. There is a lot of drinking that goes on. The crowd does get a little bit rowdy. They can at times. Not unsafe at all, but just there are moments where, you may hear some language you wouldn't want your little ones hearing, and it's the typical add booze to any scenario and what can start to happen. But it is a fantastic way to get a good scare and embrace the Halloween spirit and really get into it, because there is nothing better than movie quality haunted houses.
Yeah, if you're looking literally to get your socks scared off, you can't go too much better than Halloween Horror Nights. But there are a couple, we'll touch on a couple other options that are in the same, we'll call the same vein as Halloween Horror Nights. I don't know if they necessarily go to the same level, and that is over at Busch Gardens and also SeaWorld, and this is Howl-O-Scream, and you can see these both at Busch Gardens and SeaWorld down in Orlando, also in Williamsburg, Virginia. Howl-O-Scream at Busch Gardens at Williamsburg. Talk to me a little bit about that, Hawk, because they're there. It's not quite to the same level.
So I'll be honest. I think the scare zones in Howl-O-Scream can actually be better than the scare zones in Universal. We have had better scares at Howl-O-Scream than we do at Universal Studios. They actually will hide in bushes and jump right out in front of you. They do a great job. Howl-O-Scream does a great job for about half the cost of HHN for a single night ticket. You can get in. They have 5 houses generally. They have the last few years. They may be expanding this year. I think I saw that they were adding a house. Not sure if that's true or not. But SeaWorld does a great job locally. We are hoping to try Busch Gardens, because Busch Gardens is supposed to be a little bit more intense than SeaWorld in Tampa. So we're going to try to get over this year and see if maybe we can do a Howl-O-Scream night. I don't know if it's in the budget or the time frame, but we're thinking about it. I think for the cost, if you're very price conscious and Universal and going to HHN just is out of your price range, but you still want a good scare and a fun evening, going to Howl-O-Scream is a great call. Like, I think it's a really good job.
Yeah, most ticket nights for a single night ticket can run anywhere from about $34.99 and up a little bit. For some other nights, if you just kind of pick hey, I just want it for any single night, it's $49.99. And if you want the 2-ticket pass this is for the Orlando, Busch Gardens and SeaWorld, it's $95. And then they do also offer an unlimited screen pass at $109. So it is definitely a little bit more affordable than Halloween Horror Nights. But, and as we've talked about, even here, Howl-O-Scream, probably not best for younger children, but there is an option, though, for your younger children when it comes to Halloween time. You're not heading to Universal. You're not heading over to Busch Gardens. You are going to Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom and Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And I think it's very aptly named that Not So Scary part. Matt, you have had this opportunity. Tell us all about Not So Scary.
Yes, so it's literally not so scary. I mean, they try to put in some spooky elements, I guess you can call it, like some Haunted Mansion themed dancing in the parade. You can meet villains throughout the park. Jack and Sally are usually the most popular. My wife and I have gone. We've met Jafar and Cruella, which we thought was fantastic. The characters themselves were just amazing to kind of interact with a little bit. The parade itself hasn't really changed much. We just brought our kids for the first time, and it was very similar to what we saw a few years ago. I think the best part was actually going around Magic Kingdom and actually get to trick or treat and bring home, 20 pounds of candy, almost literally. I mean, they fill it. They're not shy. It's handfuls and handfuls of candy as you walk around. And my kids just love that. Hey, where are we going to the next spot?
How did you find the lines to meet the characters, Matt?
So from what I've heard, we're not really like Nightmare Before Christmas kind of people, so we just kind of avoid Jack and Sally. Usually like the most popular, you gotta like line up as soon as you get in. I think usually entry time is usually 4:00 for that. So people, 4:00. So people usually go right and wait in line for Jack and Sally. Jafar, we pretty much we waited maybe a couple minutes. Same thing with Cruella. She was down over by, I think, Goofy's Barnstormer, over by the train station, and that was almost same thing, couple minutes in for what we've done there. So, but most of the time we're looking for either rides or.
So we never really waited for Jack and Sally, but my daughter really wanted to. My daughter loves, my stepdaughter loves Jack and Sally. So the year we went with all of us, she was like, we're meeting Jack. And I was like, wonderful. We're going to spend 3 hours of this evening in the thing. And she's like, nope, we're going to meet Jack. And we waited till about 10 minutes before the fireworks started. And the line was 15 minutes, maybe. We met, took the pictures, walked out, got to the hub, found a photographer standing there, and got our pictures with fireworks in costume right after. And we were more back at like the town square side, looking out towards the hub where we took the picture. And one of our favorite pictures from that party was right after we met Jack and Sally, and the fireworks are going off, and they're literally in the background behind the four of us in the picture, and it was amazing. So one of the hints is either right at parade or right at fireworks. Those lines do get shorter, and if you've seen them before, that's a good time to go dive and get those unique character spots. I find the characters do wind up pretty lengthy with waits. They can, you're very lucky that you got just a few minutes, because even when we saw the not in demand characters, there were still 30-40 minute lines for a lot of them, depending on what night you go to the party. Now, you had also mentioned rides. One of the cool things, similar to the Christmas party, there are some overlays for rides for the Halloween party. I understand Space Mountain is not one you enjoyed because you didn't go on that.
No, I've never been to Space Mountain, so I couldn't tell you about that one.
So a quick note here about overlays, though. You Disneyland fans unfortunately know that famous Nightmare Before Christmas overlay at Haunted Mansion will not be coming to Orlando anytime soon. You want to see that, you got to go to Disneyland. That's just full disclosure on that one. Same thing for, I think it's a Small World as well.
But did you ride Pirates at your Halloween party, Matt?
I'm trying to think back now. I want to say we did,
because they have some very live pirates in there, and it makes the experience a little different. And it's very fun to go in and interact with the pirates live in the Pirates ride.
I think when we wrote it, there wasn't anything, like there was no like live features, I guess you could call it, when we did it.
Did you ride before 7? Because this is one of the keys too. Like, even though you can get into the party early from 4 to 7 and enjoy extra time in the park, the activities, the
Right.
overlays, and the character meet and greets don't start until 7. Some start a little, they will sneak out a couple minutes early sometimes, depending on the crowds or what's going on. It depends more on when the characters are ready to make their appearance, but they will come out and start a little early, which is great if you have the opportunity to enjoy those experiences. But don't count on it. So like the people that walk in at 4 o'clock and jump in line for Jack and Sally, you're waiting till probably 6:30, 6:45.
Oh, every bit of it. Yeah.
At minimum, probably close to 7 to
Mhm.
get that opportunity to meet. So if you're going to wait 3 hours, I don't recommend walking in and doing it first. I'd almost try to hit it later and catch it at 90 minutes.
Right, because that's when a lot of folks will have already done Jack and Sally, and they're all, that's again the same thing. Anytime a great time to hit attractions is when the parades are out, and the same thing is true for Mickey's Not So Scary. Matt, my question for you though is this: unlike Halloween Horror Nights, at Mickey's Not So Scary, costumes are not only allowed, they're encouraged, and it's not just kids. It's adults too. It's actually the only time of the year that anyone can go and really, really dress up in costume. I mean, like do some really, really realistic and lifelike costumes, with the exception a little bit of folks who do some cosplay at Galaxy's Edge. We see a lot of Jedi and all that kind of stuff. But at Mickey's Not So Scary, I mean, some of the costumes are just out of this world.
Yeah, I mean, some people really get like really creative with it, or even put their own twist in it. Every time we've gone, we've tried to do something Disney related. When we went with our kids this last time, we were the Incredibles. So trying to fit into something. My wife and I have done Mike and Sully, but it's crazy to see how creative people can get. And it's like, oh, I wish I had thought of that. Or
Matt, do you have pictures of you in the spandex Speedo? Because I would like to see the family photo.
It was a little warm that day, so I decided to skip, the tight clothing for that.
Matt's having a little
I think I'd
technical
never
trouble
get out
right
of
now uploading those photos.
I'd say that for my OnlyFans. Anyway, different conversation.
Tegan and I did Mickey and Pluto. We did Mickey and Pluto one year, and I wore those Mickey slippers. Like the fuzzy Mickey foot slippers. By the time I walked in at the end of the night, and it had rained during the parade, like there was a little rain, they were as black can be on the soles on the bottom, and they were like wet in that clammy, like I had worn sneakers and
Squishy shoes.
but I peeled those things off and left them on top of a trash can. And as I set them down, some lady came up behind us and swept them up and threw them in her bag. She was clearly taking them home to wash those bad boys and keep them as a souvenir. I was like, God bless you, lady. You can have them, because those are going to be rough. But
Speaking of Horror Nights and Hawk's Feet, but anyway.
But one of the things I think is cool, and Matt, you touch on this, when you're able to dress up, when you go in, I've seen costumes so good that people are posing with guests to replicate character meet and greets that, like, I've seen. One of the best costumes we saw the year we went as a family was the busts from Haunted Mansion. And they had done the bust so well that when they stood and they had all black on under where the bust would be, they looked like busts. And the makeup was so good and so realistic. It was incredible. I mean, people were stopping them everywhere. They were so good. And some people just take it to another level. And it's really, really cool to see. Like, being able to walk around and see people in costumes. There's always a few that are like, oh, that's cute. And oh, that's nice. And, people in the happy, sneezy, smelly, dopey, t-shirts, like doing the Seven Dwarfs and taking the easy way. And, but some people really go all out. And Jen and I talk about the fact that they start this party in August. Like their first party was last week. It's been 100 degrees here. You are not going to catch me wearing some fuzzy butt costume in Orlando, Florida at a party. Nope. I'll go as Tarzan, but I'm not going as Sully. Like, you got a shot at that. I'm not. Would you do that? Would you dress up like that? No.
I won't even do it up here, up in New England, when it's like 50 degrees out during Halloween. Like, absolutely.
So you're putting comfort first at the party.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you be creative. You kind of get like your point across with the characters that you want to represent, but also think about it's, if it's Florida in August, like you gotta think I gotta be able to exist for the night.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm just gonna say like there's nothing that's gonna beat Horror Nights. So you guys that like Mickey's Not So Scary, that's cool and everything, but when you're ready to graduate. But right now that ship has sailed. So Chuck, let's tell us about a cruise.
Right.
And
so
Halloween experiences.
Absolutely. And so where I was going to kind of start this back with Jack and Sally, because when you do a Halloween cruise on Disney Cruise Line, these are usually 3 and 4 day cruises. I did so on the Disney Dream a couple of years ago. Jack and Sally are there. You're not waiting 3 hours for Jack and Sally. No, it gets a bit of a line. It might be a 30-minute wait, but you're doing photos with Jack and Sally, and you're able to take advantage of all the benefits. Come in costume. You've got Mickey and Minnie and so many characters that are in costume, and the photo op opportunities are just unreal. And again, you do meet other guests that are there. And just like at Mickey's Not So Scary, the fact that you get to dress up on a cruise ship, you see some folks really go all out on their cruise attire. But wait, there's more. And with a Halloween cruise, you actually get 2 dress-up opportunities. The first is Halloween, and you can dress up in your Halloween finest. I had a couple of folks. There was one woman who did Mama Odie. I was going back through some of my pictures, and I mean, it was unreal how good her particular costume was. It was absolutely phenomenal. And then they have, on deck parties. There is trick or treating that you get to do as well. So, I mean, they're just really, really impressive types of costumes that you'll see. But then, as with all Disney cruises, there's also Pirate Night. And Pirate Night is your opportunity to dress in your pirate finest and hang out and interact with all the pirates that are on the ship. Pirate Mickey, Pirate Minnie, and all of that. Jack Sparrow. There's a whole show around Jack Sparrow that is done there on the ship, and there's meet and greets with Jack Sparrow and everything like that. And you have the opportunity for fireworks at sea. It's the only cruise ship, the only cruise line that does fireworks at sea, to my knowledge. I don't think anybody yet does fireworks at sea. So it's
interesting trivia about that. I just learned the other day. Do you know why Disney is the only cruise line that can do fireworks at sea?
All right,
do you know why other cruise lines can't?
Let's hear it.
Okay. Fireworks are bad for the environment, bad for the ocean. They are not allowed to launch them. Disney actually designed fireworks that disintegrate into edible fish food.
Really?
Yep. Legit.
Wow.
Like it doesn't harm the environment. It's safe for fish to consume. I'm sure it's not actual, like, here's your steakums, Mr.
Yeah.
Fishy, but it's not going to harm them with consumption. I thought that was very interesting to learn.
It is cool. And you'll notice that the fireworks that they shoot off are nowhere near what you will see at the parks. They're smaller and reserved, and for understandable reasons. And they only shoot it off one side of the ship. I think when I was on the Dream, they were shooting it off the port side I suspect some of that has to do with wind and all of that, which side that they will shoot the fireworks off. But, it's much like character dining. We talk about trying to meet characters, and a great way to meet characters is to do character dining, because you're able to have those experiences without having to do all the lines here. Disney fireworks don't make sea life, huh? Okay, well, Tom says. Tom's got an interesting comment there. But a Disney cruise is the same thing. You're able to get many of those Mickey's Not So Scary style experiences, from character meet and greets and trick or treating and doing costumes and all that kind of stuff, but without having to deal with such a large crowd. So it does become a really good value. Plus, of course, on top of that, you've also got all the experiences of Disney Cruise Line and all the benefits with food and everything like that.
Did you just say Disney Cruise Line and value in the same sentence?
It can be when it comes to saving time. But
it's a 3-day cruise.
It is a 3-day cruise, and you're getting a whole lot for that 3 or 4-day cruise experience. Not just doing Halloween, but also you get Pirate Night and everything like that. Plus, also enjoying Castaway Cay and all the fun that Castaway Cay or Lighthouse Point now, because again, there's also Lighthouse Point.
Yeah, that one you're not saving any time, because you have to walk for 17 hours to get off to the location.
They do have little carts and shuttles to take you around.
They have little carts now. They have little island Ubers.
Island Ubers, yes, to take you around. But it is one more way though for guests to experience Halloween through either Disney or Universal, or as we were talking about, through things like Busch Gardens and SeaWorld. So, as we start to kind of wrap things up here, what are those things that, and we talked about it at the top of the show, and some of you may not have had joined us yet. We were asking about, what is your personal Halloween tradition? So, Matt, we'll start with you. What are those kind of traditions that you like to do at Halloween? And things that you like to do with your family.
So we have a local zoo that we like to go to. It's called Southwick Zoo for anybody in the New England area that's listening. And they actually put on like a little like hocus pocus show. They have a bunch of jack-o'-lanterns. You can walk around and look at those. Some of them are real, some are not real. But they make it like kind of like it, well, they'll do different theming. Like they'll do like something like a dinosaur made out of jack-o'-lanterns or something like that. So they make it really fun for the kids and stuff like that. Most of the time the animals aren't out, but it's something that the kids really enjoy going to, especially going to see the show and kind of trying to interact with the characters a little bit. So.
All right, Hawk, what about you?
Well, we never really had any traditional Halloween things until we found Horror Nights, and we honestly fell in love with that whole concept so much that Jen and I buy a t-shirt and a mug every year from our Horror Nights, and we put the mugs away. As soon as November 2nd hits this year, all the mugs go up into a special cupboard, and the only reason they came down before August 29th this year was because of this episode, and I took them down this morning so I could have my Horror Nights mug. But I said, if I'm going to go up into the cupboard and get one of these things, because they're up over the refrigerator, I said, we're getting them all down. But Horror Nights we really just love. And again, it's such an amazing experience because it's so different. And, you talk about how one of the joys at theme parks is to people watch, right? One of the things we all love about theme parks is watching other people. At Disney, you get the magic of little kids reacting to characters, and it really brings the magic to you as an adult. There's we're the people that everyone else makes fun of. We're the Disney adults, right? Everybody goes, Why you're Disney adults? That's so gross. What you like Mickey Mouse and you're 50? What are you, a moron? That the reality is, for most people, the magic you experience when you get to see other kids. Like, I'm at the age, a lot of my classmates and friends from high school have grandkids now. We don't yet. And I'm not rushing my daughters for anything, just to be clear. Like, we're not putting pressure on.
I am in no hurry to be a granddad.
But we don't have grandkids yet. So what's the joy that we find when we're at the parks? I love seeing 3, 4, 5-year-old kids falling in love with Disney, like I got to see my daughter fall in love with Disney at 5 years old. She's different now going to the parks at 18. Chuck, your kids, it's different now. Matt,
completely different.
And Matt, you're still in the wheelhouse of enjoying them at the young age, but they themselves are starting to grow and change.
Oh, between that, but just even like when we bring our kids, but actually having so the last time when me and my wife did the quick 48-hour trip, a little boy sat next to me. He might have been I don't know, 8, 9, somewhere in there. And we were going on Dinosaur, and we just started talking. And he was so excited. He'd never been on it before. I was like, you're going to love it. Like, it's going to be great. And he was like, oh, after we got done, he was like, oh, I want to go back on it again. And this is great. And he's just telling me all this stuff. And I'm just like, that right there, it's a whole different experience. Since our kids weren't with us for that quick 2-day trip, but even still, you get to see that sparkle and that awe in their eyes. You get to see it from their point of view, and that right there, for the Disney adult, for some of us, is a magical moment.
No, 100%.
Absolutely.
And now take that to fear, and that's what we love to watch adults do at Universal with AJ.
Hawk likes to watch adults get scared silly.
That crap scared out of them, screaming, flipping out, going nuts, getting a big laugh, watching families, because it's the one thing with HHN that's kind of a downer for a lot of people is it's a conga line. You're literally in line walking through the house. So there's 10 people in front of you. You may get great timing through a house where you get 5 or 6 good scares. You may have timing where you miss every scare. You don't see one because you see it happening ahead of you, or you hear someone behind you getting it. You may not directly get a scare because of the way it is. That's why we like being able to go more than once, because you start to experience, you're like, ooh, good run through that one. Kind of like Tower of Terror has a different ride every time. It's not much different than going through these haunted houses. Every time is different. There's different cast in there. There's different people. There's different environments. It's, everybody's in a different mood. Like if Chuck went tonight, he'd fall asleep walking in through the first house. He'd fall down on the nearest couch and take a nap.
They would probably keep me awake. I'll put it that way.
But some nights you walk through with high energy, others you don't. It's just different every time. But being able to experience an environment where you can watch adults get that rush that you don't usually see in a theme park, other than coming off the high-end roller coasters where they get wowed, or they're, you see it occasionally when adults are wowed at Disney, but it's not like doing a Horror Nights where everybody is just, some of the stuff you see it's just awesome. It's a lot of fun to watch adults have reaction and see the different stuff play out.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a key point, is that these special events that we talk about, be it the Halloween Horror Nights, Mickey's Not So Scary, Hallow Scream, a Disney Halloween Cruise, we always have the opportunity for kids to enjoy some of these experiences, but I think these are the opportunities where adults can really appreciate and be a kid again for Halloween. Dressing up, adults go trick-or-treating during Not So Scary and get copious amounts of candy, just as much as the kids do.
On that note, 20 pounds is light, bro. You need to step it up. You need to tell your kids, get a bigger bag. So really. I went as Mr. Smee, and I brought a old newspaper route bag, and it had the flap over it. And then they gave us the little candy bags, and every time they handed us candy, I just dumped the candy bag in the pouch, in the giant Mr. Smee bag. And then my daughter would go get more candy, and I'd fill the bit. And by the end of the night, we were at like 57 pounds. My back was killing me.
Yeah, it's a heavy bag. I've got some clients that are heading down, and I'm like, be ready. You almost, if you're flying down, you almost need another bag just for the candy.
I was going to say,
You're going to get a lot of candy.
That was going to be my tip. Bring a carry-on suitcase for your candy to take it home.
That's right.
Hard shell candy.
Especially if you're flying, yes.
No, you don't smush that. You don't break the Twix. You don't smush.
No, you don't want to crush the candy.
You do not crush the candy. This is a rule.
Just make sure you take anything liquid out of it, of course. Anything liquid out.
That as much as you can. Anything else, you tip your housekeeping with it. Here you go.
That's right. So, again, this is the whole point, though.
Candy.
This is the reason we wanted to do this show, is kind of get to the myriad of ways that guests can enjoy Halloween specifically at Disney, at Universal, and other theme parks, not only in the Orlando and Tampa area, but also, like I said, for here in Virginia and other places like that.
And one suggestion I want to make to people, Chuck, and I know we've talked about this before, but it is a good reminder to people that may not have heard it. If you are a huge holiday fan and you are planning a trip, you can combine the holidays by planning your timing perfect. So if you plan to come down and arrive, so this year, for example, the parties, I believe, run until November 2nd. I'm not sure about Mickey's Not So Scary. It might only go to Halloween night, I believe, for Disney. But
yes, Halloween night is the last one, October 31st.
So if you were to come down 27th, 28th of October and stay till the 4th or 5th of November, you would be in that sweet spot of changeover. Now, you won't get everything. Not all the Christmas decorations are up in the first night. Not all the Christmas decorations are up at Universal instantly. It does take them time sometimes, but you get a taste of both holidays.
Correct. And if you stay a little bit longer, the first Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party starts November the 7th. So, pretty much a week after Halloween, and you could actually go and say, okay, I've experienced Halloween, and then you see and experience the transition. And it is, folks, an overnight transition for some of it, not for everything.
Yeah,
but for some of
not
it.
As much as it used to be. They have slowed down on what they get done, but you are correct that it goes, a couple of years ago, it was weird. After the Christmas holidays, the Christmas tree in Magic Kingdom was up into February.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I thought, Jen and I both talked about that. That was so weird. We had never seen that happen. So
I like the fact, I will say this, and we're getting into Christmas, and we'll talk about Christmas and all the Christmas holidays in a future episode here on Mousecast in the next month or so. I did like the fact that they did have those Christmas decorations up for Marathon Weekend. That was really nice. But again, that's first weekend or second weekend in January. So, but yeah, we wanted to talk about Halloween traditions and how guests can experience it. So if you're on the fence, go. If you're not sure, go. And if you have questions, not only check online, but again, talk to your travel agent. Talk to a travel professional, and seek out shows like here at Mousecast where we can help answer your questions. And if you're not sure and you got a question, hey, ask us. Put it on our Facebook page, Mousecast 2025. Ask us a question and we'll answer it for you.
And one of the things I want to touch on real quick too, just to remind people as well, there's a lot of people that consider going to Horror Nights and they're not sure they want to go. It's a big investment to go to that first night. That's where the SeaWorld Howl of Scream or Busch Gardens Howl of Scream is a great call, because it's a step below HHN quality, because they don't quite have, they're not a movie studio. They're not, you are literally walking through movie quality sets at HHN. That's part of why they spend, they give you the best with quality of houses. SeaWorld does it at a little bit lower scale, but the fear and the environment is still there. So a good test of your ability to handle fear, if you're graduating from Mickey's Not So Scary and you want something a little heavier, but you're not sure you want to do HHN yet, that's a good transition point. Like, use that, save yourself a little money, buy the pass to go to, Howl-O-Scream, spend a night, see what the kids think, and then make your decision for the following year, maybe, or maybe later that week or whatever. If you're on a good stay, doing all three, if you do them, or all four. And there's also Screamageddon near Orlando too, which is very intense. If you're doing a Halloween trip, just keep in mind, it's going to be a lot for you. It's a lot of late hours. It's still hot this time of year. You've got to make sure you're getting rest. Don't think you can spend the day at the park and then go do a party and do that multiple times in a week. You might be able to do that once in a week. And keep in mind, your kids are probably going to be the challenge if you try to do that. And you might lose out on some of your dollar value. So make sure.
One of my tips was when we went down with our kids last year, we did the park hopper, but we only did it for so many days. And that last day we were there, we did the Halloween party, but we didn't have a park hopper that day. We stayed at the resort. We did the pool. We relaxed, knowing that basically we were going to Magic Kingdom that night, can still experience going to a park in a different situation, but we knew it was going to be a later night. So just, if you have little kids, it might be one of those, like, not a rest day, but chilling by the pool. I'm sure they want to go swimming at some point.
We had days leaving HHN. Yeah, we had days leaving HHN. We didn't get home till 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And you also want to be careful. Some of those costumes are not the most breathable in the world. So getting not only yourself but also kids getting overheated, it can happen very easily. So even if at night, and yes, it's the fall, but it's it's Hawkatest, it's Florida, it still gets warm. Hydration is still really, really important.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think there's a great option of different Halloween events here. And if you're a Halloween purist and you just love it for the fact it's Halloween, you've got a great opportunity to take an actual Halloween vacation and enjoy it night after night of Halloween events here in the Orlando area. You can definitely do that. And again, if you want to message any of us, we can tell you how to do that.
Absolutely. Just share us a comment on our Facebook channel over at Mousecast 2025. Ask us a question. And we'll be happy to answer it either there on Facebook or live here on a future edition of Mousecast. And remember, we do this live every Tuesday night at 8:30 right here on our Facebook page and on YouTube. And coming up next month, it is game night again. We are heading, I believe it's next month, it's game night, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check the calendar.
Next week.
Yeah, it's next week. Our next edition is going to be game night. Yeah, it's going to be on the 26th, and that will be game night. And so Matt's going to take over. He has got another great game. Game Master Matt is going to have a great game for us, and we want you to join us. Be sure to join us at 8:30 live on game night next Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. and come and play along with Mousecast and Game Night. And again, we do this live every Tuesday night. Second Tuesday of the month is open mic night. That's where you get to choose the topic, and we'll talk about what you want to talk about. It's a great time to ask questions or share your thoughts. This is Mousecast, the podcast where the mind meets the magic. And so until next time, you foolish mortals, we'll see you.
Thank you for listening to Mousecast. We appreciate the time you share with us. And tonight was a very fun show, and joining us is a must. This is where the mind meets the magic. We dive a little deeper every time. Theme parks, cruise ships, and travel. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time. And join. This is where the mind meets the magic. If you don't listen, maybe now it's time.